Going back to the injury questions, how can you know when those innocent little niggles transition into something a bit more serious? Because sometimes you might have something that pops up and just goes away immediately, and every runner's had that happen. How do you know?
Pain's going to come up. Like you talk to ultramarathoners and they run a race and they get like knee soreness, foot pains, hip pains, back pain, and these things just pop up and out of nowhere, and they're good again. Like, the next day they can hardly feel it. It's just something that just happens. And I'm not going to pretend that I know what's exactly happening with every one of these niggles, what's happening physiologically. But I will say that there are certain trends and certain characteristics that we should pay attention to just in case it tips the scale into like an injury territory. I sort of broke it down into some niggles last seconds. Some niggles last minutes. Sometimes it's during the run, sometimes after a run. It's just this fleeting pain, tightness, stiffness, soreness, pins and needles, burning, sort of whatever the sensation is that just goes away and just resolves and never comes back. And so we can recognize that, but the level of urgency isn't that high. You don't really need to take care of that. But I do say that you should make kind of a mental note or write it down exactly when it happened, how it happened, what it felt like, just in case it comes back. Because if it comes back, then it's something to pay closer attention to. And when it does come back, it persists a little bit longer than what it did before, then that's something to even pay attention to even more. And then if it comes back more frequently, or if it comes back with more severity, like these sort of characteristics, you sort of want to know to accurately interpret, okay, maybe it's something I'm doing. Maybe it's something I'm doing that's causing that initial niggle. But like I said, you could make a note of, I had foot pain at the 15K mark of my half marathon and it just went away. And then you can make that mental note and this never comes back again. Fine. That's great. That's something that we don't need to raise the amount of urgency for, or go get it assessed, or go try and seek answers or Google what happened, because there might be something in your running. It might be the shoes or the terrain or the speed that sort of causes this thing to pop up. And every time you reproduce that, every time you do that similar run, that same thing comes back. That's something to really pay attention to, and something you need to be proactive about so that it doesn't become, more severe or persist longer than what it did previously. And, you really need to pay attention to those particular trends.
So it sounds like the really important part is teaching runners how to be more aware, right? Because one of the beautiful things that we have about this profession is being able to not only help people, but really teaching people how to help themselves as well. So teaching them to go, hey, pay attention. And that means being able to go, is this worth the red light? Is it not? And if it's not, how do I just pay attention to make sure if this kind of starts heading toward this, how do you start being more aware?
You're bringing us right to my final question. You've been leading us right in there, but what are some of these top ways that we can reduce our injury risk? What kind of things do you think about?